Dynamat channel, welcome. Right, today I'm going to be doing like a bit of an experiment. I want to try something out first before I commit to doing a proper video, because I don't know if it's really going to work, or if I'm going to like it or agree with it being a good technique worth sharing with you. So this video is about me doing my experimental run before committing to doing a proper video. If that makes sense. A bit strange perhaps. But yeah, regular viewers to the channel will know that I do like experimenting. I like figuring out, I like learning new things, and I like figuring out and inventing new ways to do stuff myself as well. So this is sort of a bit of me doing what I do at the bench, this video. It's based on an idea I saw. It must have been Instagram. It was a picture I saw. I don't really know where. I'm assuming it was Instagram. I haven't used Instagram for like 2 years now. Someone had got a plate. It's for marking out claws, yeah. They've got a plate and they just marked out on the flat plate where the claws go. They did a 4 claw, if I remember rightly. And then they just had bits of wire in those little holes they drilled on the marks, and it just sort of balancing in a point. And then, so the ends of the claws were in the correct position, basically, for a collet. So it was a bit of a sort of back to front way of making a collet. You're getting all the claws in position first, and then I assume they just put like a little bezel, dropped it in there. I don't know. Don't really know. It's a little bit, that's why I'm a little bit unsure about it, but I want to try it myself and see how it goes. And if I like it, or if I get ideas as I'm going along, then I can sort of commit to doing a proper video and sort of give you an instructional video on how to do what I do. So we'll get into it after I said thank you to a new patron, Campbell Duffy. Thank you very much, Campbell. I also have patrons on the channel. The financial contributions make the channel possible to continue, basically, simple as that. So if you want to become a patron yourself, it's patreon.com/Dynamouter. You will get a shout out on the next upload after you join. You will get access to the new YouTube videos 2 weeks before they go public. And classic and official patrons will get access to all the full instructional guides, and official patrons will get all that, plus ability to message me and I'll help you out personally with your own jewellery making endeavours and exclusive content as well. So, okay, so first of all I need a straight bit of wire. So wire's in my vise. You probably know this. One of the very first videos I did was showing how to straighten wire. I put it in the vise, I bend it right where it's in the vise. Hold the end of the wire like straight to the pliers, it's probably best. And then just carefully level with the vise, don't pull it up or down. I tend to, it depends on the length of the wire, but I find if I can touch it with my finger, it gives me a bit of extra feel and control. And you just pull it towards you. And I just felt that stretch. You probably didn't see that, but I felt it, and I saw it a little bit. Ah, there you go, that stretched even more. So when I let go of that, that'll be dead straight. It's a straight bit of wire. So that's how we straighten wire. I've never done it, but I reckon if you measured it, it would actually be a little bit thinner. Also, just one more thing. If you've created your wire by pulling it through the draw plates, you will have one end that's sort of filed to a point so you can get it through the holes. That's the end I always choose to put in the vise, because it's a bit of wasteland anyway. You can't really use that chewed up bit, so that's the bit that gets put in the vise and then bent over. And you've got the length as long as possible, but I grip that end with the pliers as well, so there's always a bit of collateral damage doing that trick. So you lose about a centimetre or more. If I remember rightly, the picture I saw, they had 4 drill holes in this plate. I'm going to try 6, because 6 I think is more difficult than 4. I want to actually test what's possible with this technique. And I'm doing it differently as well. I think they had, because they had like a little series of pictures, they just had wire balancing in, sat in the holes, just balancing next to each other and soldered that together. That's a bit too bodgery for me. I want to try something a bit more clever than that. So they did 4 claw, I'm doing 6, and then to create those 6, I'm not doing what they did, just balancing it all together. That's too much of a bodge. I'm gonna create 3 sets of V's, so 3 identical V shapes, and then they will be balancing together. So I'm just gonna quickly, working more quickly and carelessly than if I was actually making something, I'm just gonna create 3 pairs of V's. If I can get 3 the same as that, then that'll be good. Just, I'm not really trying to do anything, it's just what I like the look of. So I'll copy that now. When I'm pushing that, if you're watching what I'm doing, I'm pushing it, I'm using my fingers, yeah, so there's a bit of a risk that I might bend that wire. So I'm trying to put all the pressure right next to that pivot point. And then I will simply just put that one over the top of that one when I think it's correct. That needs a little bit more. When you've got to make a few of things all identical, always work to one. Get one correct and then do all the others to that. Like if I put that one aside and then made the next one to that, and then put that aside, then make the next one, they will change. Like Chinese whispers, they will change slowly. So always work to one. Okay, that's pretty close now. I was saying working like a bit more carelessly than normal, but I think it's a good idea to practice doing a good job always, but just sometimes it doesn't matter as much. So I'm just trying to figure out what's going on in my head. I think I'm trying to do a good job as if I was making it, but at the same time I don't have the feeling of any like pressure of actually needing to do a good job. I think that's a difference. Because if you want to be good at something, you've got to work in a way, you've got to practice being good. So you've got to try and do a good job every time. You can't just bodge everything you do and then just hope one day you'll be a really good jeweller. It doesn't work like that. So just going through the job in my mind, the next step, yeah, it is actually important to get them the same, and then not only that, they've got to be the same length as well, because thinking about the holes drilled, I'm just going to do a circle and just do 6 points around it. They're not even going to sit in the holes if like one's this length, this one's this long, is going to tilt like that if it goes in on a flat surface, and then that point where you want soldered together, they're not all going to be in the middle. It'll be a mess. So yeah, they have actually got to be quite accurately that way, and then not only that, they've got to be the same length, so do a good job. Done these now, just testing them out. This one's a little bit different, but yeah, when you're making things, obviously put them next to each other, make sure they all line up. I literally just put them together, put them side by side. One thing I've got different is the curvature of that, where I bent it from. But I'm going to leave it as it is. Anyway, so we can do a little 6 claw hopefully with that. Okay, so I mistakenly thought I had one of these templates with circles divided by 6, and then looking at them I was like, oh no, I haven't got it. And then I saw I've got hexagons there. I never thought of using those before, so actually I might be able to use those. But if not, anyway, before I realised that, I got this out. It's something I printed out from before. If you just Google like circle divided by 6 or 5, 7, whatever you want, and then look for a design that has really thin lines, print that out to whatever size you want. Yeah, it can be useful for lining up claws and stuff. And then what I did with a compass and pencil, I just carefully put it right in the middle and then just drew some circles around it. That can help you out. And there is another YouTube jeweler called Lucy something. She does a lot of bezel settings and setting videos. Her YouTube page, there's a free PDF you can download. I did download it, didn't really like it. There's too many lines on there. It's a bit confusing to look at because there's just so much stuff going on. But she does have this kind of thing for free printout. I think what I've done is better than what she has to offer, to be honest. But yeah, she's got just too many lines on hers. But they are still going to be useful if you don't want to do what I did. Anyway, so let me try these hexagons. That might be helpful. Nah, no good. Look, too small. The biggest one is too small. Never mind. If I knew I had this before, I may have made these to fit that, but I didn't. So I'm gonna stick with this. Okay. So I do actually need to know the sort of size of the circle I need to drill around. So I'm just doing it with this, and it's well difficult. It's really awkward. Six, I reckon, is way harder than what 4 would be. How am I going to balance them up? Jesus, they've got to be secure in this position to solder. Hold that on there. And I'm just going to stab a little hole. I might as well just so I can definitely get them the same all the way around, I'm just going to stab it in line with that one around what I've drawn with a pencil. And try and get it right in the middle of the black line, right on that pencil line, on all of them. Nice if I can see it. This all feels a bit arts and crafts to me. It doesn't really feel like I'm making jewellery at the moment. So I'm not really that impressed with how this is proceeding. Anyway, this should mark 6 claws. Let's have a look. See that? Not sure if any of that was showing up clearly on camera, so there you go, got my 6 marks. Now this circle's too small. I need to, I should have, rather than just guessing the circle diameter, I should have just used these V's as a guide. I could pinch them all together, but then that's harder than actually just starting again with the circle, so I'm just going to leave the V's as they are. Right, I've been fiddling about with it. Tried that technique again on the other side of that plate with different size circle, trying to balance them up here just so I can see how they all go. Just nothing really works. This is a stupid way to make a collet. So what I'm going to do is, I want to finish the video. I don't want to just say, oh, that didn't work, and then finish the video. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to just line them up flat, like that, or however I've got to do it. And then I will solder them together. I might end up having to put a bit of round wire in the middle or something. But I'm going to solder them together, just flat, in line. Then, stick it in a doming block and see what happens. Probably won't work like this, but I'm just going to try something with it. So my charcoal block, when I'm doing a job like this and I need a really flat surface, I turn it over. I'm soldering on the underneath. I try not to use it too often so it stays nice and flat. But you can rub them down. Makes a lot of dust, so be careful where you do it, but on a bit of brick or something outside, I don't know, something flat, you can flatten your charcoal block again. But anyway, this is a good test on lining them up. Mine are a little bit off-lit. You can see the difference in curvature really clearly now between the 3. And yeah, you want all 6 lining up straight opposite each other. Mine is slightly off, but it's going to be good enough to solder together and then just give it a minor tweak. This hard solder is difficult to use because, like you just saw, that was going cherry red. That was past beyond what you need to anneal it, coming up to melting temperature, and only then the solder starts to go. So yeah, not fun using this on tricky bits. So we've got this little star now. Big blobs of solder on there. It was not working carefully at all, but it's alright. Not perfectly in line. I know it doesn't matter, I'm not really making something, but let me just see. In case you want to try this and you want to see if it's possible to get things really good. 2 pairs of parallel pliers, as always, on my channel. You want to get them, they all should be going straight across the centre. Someone at the door. There's 2 people at the door. Okay, so I'm just going to chuck this in my doming block now. I may end up destroying it, but you know, whatevs. That's what you get for following stupid advice on Instagram. Maybe this one. Okay, so because these claws are quite good equal lengths, that is actually sitting quite nicely in the middle. I'm going to try and tap it straight down. Oh. It's quite a cool shape. It's got potential to be things like the back of a basket of a cluster ring. If that's something, I don't know, could be a back of a basket of a cluster ring, but I don't like this big blob of solder in the middle. So maybe once it's joined on, you could drill it out, phrase it out, and put a proper little round bezel in there. I don't know, it's all a bit back to front, it's all making things backwards. Like I said right at the start, like trying to get all the claws together in alignment before you've done the bezel, it's kind of like making something backwards, and I found it quite awkward so far doing this. So anyway, let me try and reduce it more. I'm tapping it down in smaller and smaller ones, look, sort of curled up quite nicely, and keeping an eye on the claws, making sure they're still going directly opposite each other, because if I don't hit it directly down, there's a chance they'll start bending about. Ugh. There's not really much I like about doing this technique. Even this is not working very well. Well, that's as far as I want to take it in the doming punches. It's kind of it. I mean, you can perhaps you could start it off in your doming block, then drill a hole back in the center, and then start to push it down in one of these. I don't think you're gonna get away with it. It's not really gonna work. It's you have to start it. It's gonna have to go in one where the claws are inside. You can't have the claws sticking right up. I can't imagine that working very nicely at all. Shall I just try it? So one last look at it. There you go. Okay. I think this is not gonna work. I'm gonna try and push it in there. So when I say it's not gonna work, what I mean is, like, I might push this down and then two claws fold up and two opposite open up and stuff. You can't work like that. You need to have control over the metal and what's going on if you want to actually create something successfully. Stuff like this is too much chance. Yeah, I don't think they're closing up nicely. I'll just show you that. See, it's folding up. Those two and those two are closer than those two. It's exactly what I thought was going to happen. And you might say, well, why don't you just straighten them out again? It's not really a skillful way to work. It's like you're bodging it, correcting it, do it again, bodge it, then you'll correct it again. That ain't diamond mounting. It's a total mess now. Look at it. Okay, I'm gonna stop.